Hello and welcome to the Cabin Boy Knits Woolcast, coming to you deep from the Canadian forest.
This is Christopher.
And this is the other guy,
Jamie.
We have a couple of patterns we want to share with you.
Yarn dyeing is on the agenda, and sheep history.
Or sheep herstory. We also have Nina Chicago, and we have a couple of supermodels.
And KNIT City is coming up real soon.
So sit back, grab your favorite drink, and we'll tell you our story. Welcome viewers, and welcome new viewers.
We are so happy to be back, finally, where we belong. What's been going on?
I just got back from a ski trip in Quebec. I went with my son, and we were skiing in Mount Orford, and we were staying near Magog. Is that how you say it? Magog?
Magog.
And it was fantastic.
It's in Quebec, it's French.
Yes. And we had 25 to 30 centimeters of snow fall over 2 days. It was a lot of snow.
What you were saying, you're pretty much skiing in a blizzard.
Yeah, we basically got to the top of the hill and it was a blizzard. But so here's what happened.
Do tell.
Here's my ski story.
I wasn't there.
So we booked a really nice chalet and we were close to the ski hill. We get to the ski hill, we're getting all of our gear on, and I look at my goggles, and my goggles, I think the goggles were the goggles that my son had when he was 12. So I was looking for my goggles, and that's all I had. So I had these little tiny goggles on, and I got them around my helmet. And then I needed a balaclava to pull over. And so I'm looking at that, and I'm trying to get it over my head. And this also had to be something that my son wore when he was 12.
Oh,
so it was really small. And then I went to put my gloves on, and you know the gloves that you spent time sewing for me?
Yeah, there was one tear in a finger.
I left them at the chalet.
What?
So I didn't have them. So Devin, my son, gave me an extra pair of his gloves, and I could barely get them on my hand.
Oh my gosh.
They're really small. Anyway, so we got off to the hill with my little goggles and my balaclava that was way too small, and my gloves. And so we got there, and the runs were amazing. They were great. I think the most we had to wait was 5 minutes to get on
that is
on a
really
lift.
good, because sometimes you could wait 20-minute lineups for the lifts.
Yeah, and the hills are amazing. They're so great. So we get to the top, and it is a snowstorm. You can't see much going on. I went down a couple of runs, finally got my legs back. Felt like, because I haven't been skiing in a couple of years. And then the fourth run, we went down double black diamond. So there was a lot of...
What does that mean, black diamond?
Means lots of moguls. And
it's like for more experienced. Like, I would probably not go down one of those hills.
Probably, yeah, I would guarantee that.
Bunny hill for me.
Well, if you did go down, it wouldn't be pretty. So
it depends what I'd be wearing.
That's right. No, I don't think you wear anything to make it pretty.
If you were
skiing down a hill like that.
I'll just ski down in one of your knitted jocks. You know, the weather.
How did we go? That was topic 5 today. How'd you get to that already? Gosh. Anyway, so I'm going down this and hitting the moguls, and it was pretty good. But then my legs started to feel jello-y, and I thought, what is going on? Do I have my skis on the wrong feet? Like, what's the deal here? And so then we got back on the chairlift. We were going up, and I tried to put my feet on the bar, and I could get my right one up. I couldn't get my left one up.
You couldn't lift your leg.
So I had to put my arms up and get my leg on. So then I get to the top, and I thought, okay, I'm going to take an easy one. So my son went down one way. I thought, he's leading me down the double black diamond again. So I'm going to go another way. It didn't work. I ended up on the double black diamond again. And this one was even bigger.
What?
And so I'm going down the moguls, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I'm so exhausted. So I stopped halfway down the hill. Then I went down again, and there was so much new powder. My legs gave out, and I fell. But that's, I think, the first time.
Fell? It's called a wipeout.
I wiped out. Yeah, it was.
Wiped out.
Yeah, it was yard sale. So my skis were one of my skis was about 20 meters up the hill, and so I didn't hurt anything. because it was soft snow, and I haven't fallen in
Luckily.
about, I don't know, 10 years maybe, the last time I fell. So anyway, I take my boot off. I take my ski off, not my boot, my ski, and I put my boot down, and I'm up past my knees in soft snow. So how am I going to get my skis? And my legs just weren't moving. They were so exhausting. It felt like I just finished a marathon. And so I'm looking up, and this guy came down and handed me the ski, and I just started laughing, and he said, I don't have enough energy to go up there and get it, so thank you. And then the ski patrol comes by.
Oh my God.
And it's a guy, probably around your age, who showed up. And and he said to me, "Are you okay?" And is anything hurt? And I said, "Just my ego." And so I finally
I'm surprised you just said, "Oh, please take me away. I'll ride that thing down," because that's what I would have done. Oh, is there a comforter?
Can you put me in
Is there a nice little blanket?
Do you have a toboggan with the comforter in it?
Yeah.
No. So anyway,
Like a nice knitted wool blanket.
Yeah, well, that would have been nice. So anyway,
Save it for the video.
So here's what happened. So I stood up. My goggles are completely fogged because they don't fit properly, and so I can hardly see. So I'm trying to clean them so I can see the ski patrol guy.
Gosh.
So I'm talking to him, and then I'm trying to get my glove back on, and he's looking at me because it's too small.
Kids mitts.
I finally got everything back on, and I got down to the bottom of the hill, and I told my son before the run we'd meet in the chalet. Get in the chalet, and it was very cold that day. Got my helmet off. I could not get the glove off my head.
What?
It froze. So I had this big frozen ring around my neck, and I had to wait till it thawed before I could pull it over my head. Anyway, I finally got it off, and got up to get my food, and my legs were like wobbling like this. My son was killing himself laughing
Because you couldn't walk.
Because I couldn't walk.
And then you got
No
home.
sympathy from him. So,
And then when you got home, the next day when you got up in the morning,
that was
you couldn't
a day
walk.
later. Yeah, that was a day later. I couldn't go up and down the
I was
stairs.
like, what is wrong with your legs?
So it told
You're
me
walking
that
like you're wearing skinny jeans over 30
that
wearing
would be
skinny
you.
jeans.
That would be you.
couldn't bend your knees.
Anyway, I realized that when I'm at the gym, I have to work my legs more than anything else. I wasn't prepared for it.
Well, not even that. I mean, you cycled often. We're mostly just doing walks, so you're using muscles you haven't used literally in a few years. So it goes without saying. But I was imagining you on the moguls, and then before your white belt, it was turning into like Olympic, cross. What is it called? Cross ski or aerials. What are the other?
Yeah.
I was imagining aerials or doing something, Olympic-like in the air.
No, that was Devin. Devin was doing some pretty amazing jumps when he was there. But let's go back to the skinny jeans for a second, because I'd love to share this with the viewers.
I think we shared that story before.
Well, I have to tell it again because I love it.
Because your son says...
When I first... Oh, yeah, my son said mentioned to Jamie when he first met Jamie that men over 30 shouldn't...
Well, he didn't share that with me. He shared that with him. It came through.
I think maybe he said
not
40,
straightforward.
Yeah.
I heard it through the grapevine that it was said that men over 30 shouldn't be wearing skinny jeans. And I've worn skinny jeans ever since.
So we were watching a movie, and it was a huge theater, and I'm sitting there with some friends, and Jamie went to get some popcorn and came back, and his jeans were so skinny and so tight, he couldn't walk up the stairs.
I realized.
So it looked like he had his legs in two casts, trying to walk up the stairs all the way to the...
It's funny because
oh my gosh,
the difference now is all of my pants in the last few years, I love stretch denim, and that's what I wear because they're really comfortable.
No, be honest, you wear jeggings.
They almost sometimes. Well, those look like jeggings at the time. But I thought, imagine the theater and the movies, everyone's facing this way, and all of a sudden I remember coming back and I'm going down was fine, but it was coming up. And then I felt like the whole audience was just staring at me because I was the only one. I was late. The film was starting, and I'm coming up the stairs by myself, and I'm aware that I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel like I can't bend my knees, and walking with, unusually ridiculous, like a duck or something, going up these stairs with all eyes on me. But that was part of it. Was probably my imagination, or part of it was like...
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, so it was hysterical. I was laughing out loud within and just casually going up the stairs looking nonchalant like...
Okay, let's get into some bull talk. Enough of the skiing and leggings, jeggings, jeans talk. So we received some great email from, or DMs on Instagram. From,
What's a DM? I don't even know what a DM is.
You have to get on the Instagram and then
The
you find
Instagram. I'm not on the Instagram.
out. You're on the Facebook.
I'm
You're
on
not
the Facebook
but you're not
once
on the
in a while.
Instagram.
Exactly.
Yeah. So direct message.
And even on the Facebook, just so you know, it's very, I'm not diligent about being on there. I glance through it.
Okay.
I glance
I'm
through
calling
it because I don't want to. I don't get into anything to do with commentary. I rarely say anything. I'm just like, oh wow.
Okay, I am calling
nice.
BS on this one.
Or go sad face.
I
if
am
someone's
calling BS
sad.
on this one. You are on the Facebook. You're on Facebook every day in the marketplace. So don't believe what he's saying.
I recently discovered Marketplace because I was looking for something to do with, I don't know, we needed something either whether it be, for our display, like a rack or some unusual.
Because you never know
secondhand.
what you don't need.
Exactly. And then and my friend said, well, why don't you just go on Marketplace on Facebook? I'm like, what are you talking about?
Who's that friend that mentioned it to
Up
you?
in Pembroke Mountain.
Okay, I'm deleting them.
He says, oh, you need to check it out. It's no, it's got all kinds of things. I'm like, I cannot believe it. I would, if they had this, 20 years ago when I was in college, I would have been like, I would never
Your
buy.
math isn't great either.
I would never buy. You could furnish your entire apartment or home with everything you need there, and building materials and secondhand building materials and I am shocked by the amount of stuff on there, and you can really find anything you need.
Yeah,
I've gone a little overboard, but we have got.
And we veered off topic. So we were
Again.
going down to veer. But before we do that, I'm going to veer off topic just for another minute. And on our walk yesterday, we found a bird nest on the ground.
It's fallen from a tree. And we're trying to figure out what bird might have built this particular type of nest.
So if you have any ideas, let us know. And we'll do our research as well.
You said right away hummingbird, but it's not hummingbird.
No,
because
it's
it'd
too
be
big.
way too small.
Yeah.
It would be way smaller than that. And this one's very round, but it's very deep. So it's probably just, we have so many chickadees around here, it's probably just like a chickadee or something. But we've seen some unusual nests, which are, especially when we need to find the one, we talk about this often because it's that time of year again, and we don't put the wool out because they like to, plush up their nests with the beautiful BFL and merino. And, if they get their hands on cashmere, they have, top-notch nest.
Yeah.
I'm waiting to find one that's incorporated some of our strands of wool in it, because we will find one.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
There's so many in our.
I'm not hanging.
I'm going to hunt around for one.
Okay, and so our beautiful vase today,
Well, what
comes
do we
to you
have
from
here?
your local birch tree.
It is. Now, I didn't make that. Somebody made that.
Yeah.
Out of just plain old birch bark, and they've got another sort of what do you call it? Like a strand of it to give it a, tie it at the top and a little bottom. And what do we have in the birch bark?
We have staghorn sumac, which we love to dye with.
And this is stuff we plucked last fall, and it's still as red and bright as ever. And we've been dyeing yarn with the sumac recently.
Yeah, we do it all through the winter, and the color holds. The color is great. So, big fan of staghorn sumac.
So we put it out there for our little table ornamental feeling of not quite spring yet.
Okay, let's go back to the DMs now. What
does DM stand for? Just remind me.
Oh my gosh. Okay,
DM.
You're going to scroll back a minute and a half, and
something.
It's direct messaging.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I want an IM. When it's on the down low, I want an IM.
What's that?
An indirect message. Is there such a freaking thing? If someone messaged you, they message you. Well, how is it indirect?
It's direct messaging because it's not out in the public domain. It's between you and the sender. So it's like a private message.
So it's like a private indirect message anyway.
Oh my
I
God.
guess indirect.
Aren't you glad that you joined the show?
I'm so glad
you learned so much. You learned so much.
You know what I learned? I learned that I'm good with not being on Insta. on the Insta.
Okay, so we have a new friend in
California. We don't. He's on the Insta. It's probably your new friend.
No, it's ours because Carly references you as well.
Yay. So
Carly Carlo
on the Insta, and I'm.
Yeah, Carly Carlo. Go check her out. And here's one of the reasons you should check her out. She's a yoga instructor, and so she's got this
once.
Zen aura about her, but she has the best smile ever. She has a great smile.
That's nice.
And she has a nice Instagram page as well, so go and check that out. But she sent a note, and she saw a World War I woolen sweater. And it was in mint condition.
Where'd she see it?
I took a picture of it, and she said that it reminded her of the episode that we did when we buried the wool with the synthetic fiber.
Okay. And to show that a sweater will last forever.
Forever. And so you would think to yourself, okay, well, if you showed that episode where the wool was breaking down and went back into the earth and the synthetic didn't, then why is this wool sweater in perfect condition from World War I? So I'm asking you that question, Jamie.
What do you mean?
Well, wouldn't you think that it would break down?
Well, we already know. I wouldn't think that because I know it doesn't. It's a natural fiber, and it's...
So there's a couple of things.
And what about the latrine hat they found in the loo?
That's right.
It's from Louisbourg, from a few hundred years old, and it was in the ground. Yeah. And it came out in perfect condition, except for the color was somewhat faded.
So one of the amazing things about wool is that it has lanolin in it. And when you go back to World War I days, and you look at the wool that was used then, there was a lot less processing of the wool, which means that there's more lanolin in the wool. And so you have antibacterial properties that are in the lanolin. And so when you have a wool sweater, you'll notice that you don't really have to wash it as much as other sweaters because of the antibacterial properties in it. And so
lanolin is an oil as well, so you would think it wouldn't dry out.
Yeah, it comes from the glands of the sheep. Right. So,
I didn't need to know that. I don't even, why did you even go there? From its glands. Ew. Okay, so lanolin.
Into the wool. Yes.
People who don't know that, and also people who used to process wool, if you process it by hands and wash, they have beautiful soft hands from the lanolin.
Yes. So
I usually splash some of that water on my face.
Yep. So there's two schools of thought here. So back then, it probably was the lanolin that had, because there was probably a significant amount of lanolin in the sweater. Today, when you buy your wool, it's some of your wool, unless you're buying it directly from a farm or directly from a mill, a local mill, a lot of it is processed. And so the lanolin is stripped out of it. And so there's not a lot of lanolin in the yarn when you get it in your hand. And so if you're knitting a sweater, that argument wouldn't really stand today. However, what does stand is the fact that with wool, it has this amazing ability to self-regulate your temperature. So if you're hot, it is able to adapt itself so that you don't perspire as much. So for example, if you were wearing polyester versus wool, wool can adapt to the heat and to your body temperature. And so in that way, you're not sweating as much, you're perspiring.
Has anyone ever worn polyester on a hot summer day?
Oh my gosh. So, and the bacteria just builds up, and that's what causes the smell. So wool has a great property
more importantly, the deterioration.
And I will definitely attest to this because when I used to cycle, and I would be out for rides all Saturday or all Sunday in 90-degree weather, I'd be wearing my wool cycling jersey, and it would be fantastic. I was cool. I was never hot, and it didn't stink. So it was. I definitely attest to that.
So I guess you were told.
Maybe that was just in my mind. I didn't. I was wondering. I wonder why I don't have any friends.
I didn't perspire. No, but it's right. What you say is absolutely correct. So it's an insulator. It keeps you warm, but it also. This is what people. They don't understand about cooling down. My thing is, and it's partially the same idea, natural fibers such as cotton, and that's why in the summertime you wear a cotton sweater, and that's the same reasoning behind it. But also, what people wouldn't think of doing is I'll often wear a cotton undershirt even midsummer.
Yes.
And it will absorb any of the perspiration, but it also dries quickly, as does wool. And that's why if wool gets wet, some of it repels some of the water, but it dries quickly, and vice versa. So by wearing an undershirt underneath, if you're wearing even a summer short sleeve shirt, you're not going to perspire as much. And actually, that cotton undershirt keeps you cooler. But people would think, oh my gosh, you're wearing 2 layers? It's not. They would not think that would keep you cool, as a wool sweater would keep you cool and warm.
Yeah. So.
Okay. So let's see. I can't read that.
You don't have your glasses on.
I like it to be a surprise.
So the next DM that I received was from Southpaw Knitter.
Oh.
Do you know what a Southpaw is?
I don't want to say I don't, because then you're going to go, oh my gosh, Jamie, we met them 4 times.
No. I don't. Not who it is, but do you know what a Southpaw is?
Same thing. Should I know?
Yes. No, I shouldn't say
Oh
you
my
should know.
gosh.
It's a left-hand. Someone who's left-handed. Southpaw.
What?
A Southpaw.
It's an expression?
Yeah. Do you ever
Yeah, are
watch
you allowed
boxing?
to say that these days? Because these days you can't say anything that might relate to, like, oh.
Well, that's his Instagram name. So.
Oh, so, okay, so if he's going to own it, he's Southpaw.
Southpaw Knitter. Yes.
I don't think very many people know that or knew that.
And so Southpaw Knitter, I'll put your name or your Instagram, because he did communicate to me through a DM on Instagram. And
Yes.
I was going to say he was knitting the Trifecta shawl.
Oh. Okay, and I just want to say one more thing. I'm going to ask my niece about that Southpaw because she's left-handed, and
Is she a boxer?
I never even think about it. No, she plays ringette. Nobody knows what that is unless you're Canadian. Ringette. Google it. Anyway, she's left-handed, and it never crosses my mind between her and her sister that left-handed. That doesn't cross my mind unless someone points it out. But I want to know if she ever heard Southpaw.
Okay, so I want to read Southpaw's tagline underneath the Instagram. Left-handed knitter in a right-handed world, learning how to move my yarn from right needle in Beyonce to the left, as Beyonce says.
To the left, to the
To the left, to
Is
the
that
left.
a song?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I don't know it. I just know the other.
All the single ladies. Okay, so
to the left, to the left.
he did a great job of his shawl. It looks beautiful, and it's part of the Trifecta kit that we sell. And $30 from the kit goes to the AIDS life cycle. And Gary Rides is doing all the hard work on this. He's going to be cycling from San Francisco to Los Angeles again. So congratulations to both of you for that.
And the Trifecta was the collaboration just with the wool, correct?
Yeah, and the designer is Freckled Past. So thanks for bringing it up. Yes.
And the cowboy knits wool.
Yes. Yep.
That's the connection.
Yep. So yes. So I'll put a link and you can see more of Gary's knitting and Southpaw knitting as well.
You know what would be interesting? We should have someone who knits left-handed, because isn't there? I've seen it before, and people talk about. Do you have to adjust kind of differently? Like I don't even know.
Yeah,
how it
you
works,
do.
But it'd be interesting to see what it is they need to do, whether it be mind-wise or.
Yep.
Like I don't know what they need to do to switch up a pattern or to follow a pattern. If they have to, is this something mentally, or do they have to do a calculation?
Why don't we do this? Why don't we put a link to a YouTube episode that shows that?
Well,
I'm sure someone's got that.
I think we should do that later, and we'll have a chat with someone.
Sure, and I'll do a link now for the viewers
someone
today.
Now?
Yes, I do. Yes,
because he DM'd you.
Southpaw Knitter, thank you very much for sharing that. Okay, so are you done?
I'm just too loud about Southpaw. Thanks, Mr. South. Is it Mr. South?
You didn't grow up.
Is it Mr. Southpaw to me?
You didn't grow up boxing or watching boxing.
I took boxing when I was very young because, growing up where I did, it's beat or be beaten. And so my mother thought it'd be a great idea if I took up boxing. My uncle was taking boxing at the Y, and I went for a few boxing lessons. So,
and how did that go?
Well, I remember you had to kind of, you like this, and you block your face with this one, or whether it's this way, because you block, if I'm going to do like a right hook, you kind of like this, and you keep prepared for the block, but you're going like this, and then this is the one you're going to go, kapow, you bully! I'm going to punch you if you try to punch me first.
That would definitely scare him.
That was my childlike
That would definitely scare her.
I'm going to scare you. I'm going to make you run for your life.
Okay, so are we done with that?
It came in handy at one time or another.
Sure.
Believe me, even if it was just me being tough.
Yeah, you being butch.
So mean.
Okay.
I'm drinking my coffee too fast. I'm almost done my coffee, and we've been like 10 minutes into this.
Okay. That's because I've been doing a lot of the talking.
Oh my gosh.
So
how unusual. I'm usually told to, can that one just keep a lid on it for a minute so the real cowboy knit could speak?
That was only one person.
Yeah, but it stuck with me. It's very traumatizing.
It was traumatizing.
It's so traumatizing.
Okay, let's get on to our new relationship.
Oh my gosh.
The throuple.
Oh my gosh. So here we go. I have no idea what it's talking about. Okay, just tell me and then I'll pretend it's like, oh yeah, right.
No, we have a new relationship.
I'm sweating. It's so, what is this all about?
It's with Nina Chicago.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Of course.
So we went through the dating phase, and then...
Early on,
yes. So
it's very platonic. It was more a spoken word.
So Nina Chicago is a fantastic yarn store in Chicago. And when we were looking for yarn shops to work with, we met Hillary, who owns Nina Chicago. Sat down, had a chat, and it was kind of like dating. Trying to figure out, are we a good fit? We had a list of, we did our due diligence. We wanted to see, and once we went through the due diligence, like the things we were looking at, what does she believe in? What does the store believe in? What yarn do they carry? And what is the sense of community in the store?
And and the same, the same values, the same sort of, mindset.
Yeah,
pretty much. And just think of it as like speed dialing. So it was an event.
Speed dating, you mean, or speed?
Yeah,
You said speed dialing.
Did I?
Yes.
I meant dial a date. Oh, that's something else. That's for another episode.
Sorry, another generation. How long has it been since phones have had dials?
Oh, shush. I don't even know what they are. You give it to a child and they don't know. I'm one of them. That's before my time. But speed dating is like speed dating because it was an event. And so we do like you say, our due diligence. We know who's going to be part of it. And so, and it's like, then it was like a meet and greet and you kind of.
And she does the same thing, right? So she'd be doing the same thing. And
so she went on that
speed dial.
She went on that.
Too crazy or.
She went on the speed dial and.
Yeah.
There it was.
Yeah.
We connected.
We did. And the store, we have yet to be to the store, but we saw pictures of it and it is beautiful. It's really nice. And it's in Noble Square. It just recently moved in 2019 to Noble Square. The Nina Chicago started in 2004. Mm-hmm. And then 13 years later, Hillary took over. Okay. And in 2019, she moved it to the new location. And so I'm really looking forward to going to visit that shop. It is really, really nice. And they have some great yarn. They've got Clinton Hill Cashmere and Noro and now us. So really, really happy to be in that store. And
good company, it sounds
good
like.
company. And Hillary's awesome. And I'll put a link to Nina Chicago on here. And also she also has designs as well. So I'll put a link to that as well.
And we're so looking forward, as you say, to meeting her in person.
Yes.
Making our way to the store. I've never been to Chicago. You have. It's a beautiful city.
I love Chicago.
But now we have a real good reason to make our way there. You once again, and myself for the first time. So it's very exciting to.
And we have another reason to do that, to go there as well. I'd love to meet up with Lupin Dudes, who are a knitting group in Chicago.
Someone who DM'd you.
It's a group. It's actually they're a group on Facebook of Chicago knitters.
Okay.
So, but you're never on Facebook. I forgot. So you wouldn't know that.
They haven't friended me because I'm just the other guy.
No, because they're not in the marketplace.
You forget I'm just the other guy. It's okay as long as you make the connection. I'll just follow along.
One of the other things I wanted to mention about Nina Chicago was, do you remember when we were in Montreal? We were at
I've been to Montreal a gazillion times.
Okay, I'll be a little more specific. We were in a Espace Tricot, and we were walking around inside the store.
Yes, I think I know where you're going.
And Jamie has a tendency to talk to strangers a lot. And so you started talking to a couple that were in the store.
No, they said they were looking kind of like this and going and their eyes were as big as saucers and they were like looking like they wanted to like engage in conversation. I said, "Hi."
Anyway.
And then she said, "You're cowboy knits." You were recognized even with your mask on.
Oh.
Were we wearing masks?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
We would have had to have been. Yeah. So anyway.
No, or was that pre-mask?
No. I think we had masks on.
I don't remember.
Yes.
But I remember the ladies.
Because we filmed that episode and we were all wearing masks.
Okay. Yes.
So you started talking to them and they said one of the things that they love is, and I can't remember where they were from, But they travel all over. There was a mother and daughter, and they were saying that they love to buy yarn in cities that where they are traveling.
Yeah, they make it destinations, and wherever they go, they will find a yarn shop.
And I think a lot of us do that. I mean, I definitely do that as well. maybe not all of us, but some of us do that. And so anyway, we started talking about Chicago, and she said, "Oh, there's a store in Chicago that is so beautiful. It's called Nina Chicago."
That's right.
That was really nice to hear.
And she meant exactly. She mentioned the store in Chicago, and it was Nina Chicago.
Yeah.
And it was so unusual for her to the coincidence was just uncanny. And they were very, very nice mother-daughter. They're avid knitters. They follow Cowboy Knits, so they knew. Yeah. They always Christopher's the recognizable one because your beard, and even though you had your mask on, they recognize you. And you often wear plaid, and just the whole, they were like, But I thought, they stopped in their tracks because they were right next to us. We were looking at yarn, they were right next to us, and then all of a sudden, it was obvious. I'm thinking, what up with those ladies? And then they chatted, and we had a nice conversation. It was great.
And you often get people think that you're Anderson Cooper.
Yeah, among other people. I don't know. Anderson Cooper, if I put a pair of glasses on, does he wear glasses? I don't know. He does some newsy stuff. Today we're going to talk about...
So that was the. I just wanted to bring that up. But the other thing I wanted to mention was that Hillary from Nina Chicago mentioned that somebody traveled a fair distance to buy our yarn, and so that was really nice to hear. And
he traveled for.
Well, I think it was Professor Purl who did it, Chris McGovern, and the reason I think that is because.
Oh, you don't know for sure? I
don't know for sure.
But it traveled 2 hours.
Well, Christopher will let me know.
Apparently, right? 2 hours?
I'm not sure how far he traveled.
2.5 hours?
Somebody did. Somebody traveled 2.5 hours to buy the yarn, which was really nice. And so, anyway, Christopher McGovern, Professor Purl, is a fantastic designer. He has amazing socks. He has amazing ferrule patterns. They're beautiful. And so he DM'd me.
I was going to say it, and I thought, oh, don't go there again. Go, and did he DM you? He DM'd you, didn't he?
And I was really honored. I mean, he designed a pattern and with some yarn, and one of the socks he used in his pattern was Cowboy Knit socks, and it's the Cable Guy socks.
Okay.
And they're beautiful. They're really nice. I cannot wait to knit them. They're really
you've been talking
nice.
about it ever since. You want to definitely knit a pair because you love them.
Yeah. So I'm going to take them to. I'm going to start knitting with them because I think maybe I'll be able to knit them at Knit City. But if they're too complicated, then
when are you going to have time to knit at Knit City? Oh, there's a knit night.
There's a knit night. Yes.
There is a knit night.
Yes. So we'll be talking and knitting. Some of us will be talking and knitting at the same time. Some of us will just be talking.
Talk and knit. He loves knit night because you know what? Jamie can't talk and knit at the same time, so I just knit.
That's not true.
It's so true.
No, you don't knit. That's the true part.
Oh yeah, that's right. Talk. I have to set it down. Well, they would have seen because when I've done a knit along or what have you, I have to put my knitting down because I want to engage, and I can't engage if I'm trying to focus. 1, 2, 3.
So just to go back to the it's the Cable Guy socks. We're going to dye some yarn and
specifically for that,
and match that to the pattern. So we'll have that available on our website when we come back from Knit City.
Okay.
But speaking of knitting at Knit City, Knit City is only in a couple of weeks. It's April 2nd and 3rd in Montreal.
But we'll talk about that.
But we'll talk about that. That's further down in the agenda.
Oh my gosh, skipping ahead.
But I do want to talk about, it leads into our whips. What are we going to knit when we're there? Now, our whips, we have pretty sad whips this time.
Sad whips? Oh, why is it sad?
Because you have made, I'm not going to say it. How much progress have you made on your sweater?
Because we've been so busy. Remember, I'm the wooler washer and the hauler of the wool. I've been very busy. Our sumac is falling apart. So yeah, wash wool, wash your wool.
Yeah, we've been dyeing a ton of wool and
we've been busy.
I can't remember the last time I've had needles in my hands. It's been 3 weeks.
Yeah, but
which is the longest I've ever gone. I think.
You continue to knit between.
Yeah.
But you haven't now for a couple of weeks. And I put my needles down.
Yeah.
I've put my needles down. I think it's a month.
It's been a long time. So
I think maybe even I don't know.
Yeah,
It's been a long. Basically, there's no
time.
point. I'm not showing the whip because my whip hasn't progressed since we had it in the last episode, I think, and I've not progressed 1 inch.
So I'm going to talk about an almost whip, or a whip that's in my mind.
An almost whipped. That's my. That's
I'm using your term.
My AW.
So I've picked it out.
My A whip.
So the criteria was this: what can I knit at knit night and be able to talk to people without having an overly complicated pattern, and something that looks nice.
How do you know?
How do I know what?
I mean, I know what you're gonna. How do you know it's not complicated if you haven't done it before?
Because Jay,
yes,
the
Jay, you know,
Katzenberger said that Papa Bear, yes.
Oh, see, I know that.
You're beating
one.
me to the punchline.
I know that one.
Papa Bear, KD. So it's PBKD.
What?
Papa Bear Knits and Designs. He's a fantastic designer, and he just finished a wonderful scarf, and I'm going to knit that. And
I thought you were going to say you're knitting these cable socks you're going on about.
Oh, no, I'm going to... No, listen.
I'm all confused. Oh, my God.
Let me check my notes. No.
Check your notes as to what you're going to knit. I thought you were getting there because you said, oh, no, you want to dye the yarn for the cable socks, which you haven't yet. Oh, my gosh.
I have two projects.
Confused.
I've got these socks, which I've downloaded the pattern, and I'm really excited about those. I have to dye the yarn for it, though.
And I'm thinking you don't do cables often, so how's that going to be easy for the cable socks?
Well, anyway, so that's one. The other is this scarf that I'm talking about right now. So I've got two. It's always healthy to have more than one
Are you
whip.
as lost as I am in this conversation?
It's always healthy to have more than one whip going at a time. And so I am going to be knitting this scarf.
Okay.
Check yourself.
Okay.
Check yourself. That's the name of the pattern.
I'm like, what's going on? It's like I have something in my nose. Don't make me more nervous than I already am.
Okay, so I
checked myself.
Now, I will, full disclosure, on Thursday evenings, there's a group of us that get together, and Jay is part of that.
Is it called full disclosure?
So I get to say, no, but I want to say that Jay and I have a relationship. So he's also using Kevin Boyd Knits yarn on another project for next year in a calendar.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
Did I know this?
I have lots of relationships. You just...
Did I know this?
Yes.
You know, the calendar, whatever relationship. The calendar, what's this business?
The calendar is coming out next year, and so I'm not going to disclose too much now. I don't think I'm allowed to.
But we're going to be part of it.
Yes.
With our wool.
So Jay's designing the pattern, and we're supplying the yarn.
Okay.
Yep.
And that's all you're going to say?
That's all I'm going to say for this episode.
But
so back to my whip number 2.
His scarf.
His scarf. Check yourself. Yes. And when the pattern is beautiful, and as you can see up here.
Where?
and the
it's
other
not
thing
on display
is,
yet because he hasn't knitted it.
The other thing that is of interest is who's wearing the scarf.
Oh, this is where this is all.
This is where this is all going.
Okay.
So
who's wearing what? Where?
So Kevin Davis is wearing the scarf.
Kevin
Davis is one
is he
of
another one of your friends?
Papa Bear Jay has some of the best models.
Okay. I've seen some of his photos of items.
Not only is Jay a great designer, but he also has a great eye for talent.
And what
to show his stuff.
Yeah. And what better way than to have it on, something that's going to emphasize and look good.
Yes.
The product stand out and the whole picture just pop.
And he told me that if I knit the scarf, I'll look just like Kevin.
Kevin, oh my goodness.
We're on a first name basis. Kevin's the model.
Show us, who's Kevin?
So Kevin Davis is the model behind it, and he is an
military?
Ex-Air Force, I think.
Air Force.
And then he's got a fantastic Instagram page. And
fantastic. He's got a fantastic Instagram page.
Yes. He's also an international model as well.
I think he's
I think that's what he
probably
does
got a
now.
fantastic.
He's a retired in the Air Force. I think he's a full-time model, and he models in all kinds of different. I don't know if he does runway, but he does a lot of editorial and print stuff. And he just happened to, when I was talking to Jay about this, Jay sent me one of his books.
One of Jay's books.
No, sorry, I'm getting all too excited and flustered. Kevin Davis is on the cover of this book.
He's okay. He's got a fantastic.
So he's on the cover of a bunch of books, and so this made me think of you.
Oh, how's that? I don't have a beard.
No.
And he's far hairier than I am.
Well, it's funny you say that because
he looks like he's bigger than I am.
Because I read a Q&A about him, and he said that the thing that people comment most on is his beard and his chest.
Oh my gosh! There I go. I fell right into that trap. Bound by trust.
Not that I've been doing my research on it.
So bound by trust.
Yes.
Is this about the sky?
So he's on the cover of a bunch of books. And I know someone else who's been on the cover of a few books, a few Harlequin romance books. Let's play Guess Who. So one of them is Overheated.
Oh my goodness.
One of them is Wyoming Manhunt.
Oh, Wyoming Manhunt. How apropos.
And then, what is this one?
Rafe Sinclair's Revenge.
Rafe Sinclair's Revenge.
This one I remember. I'm wearing one of my favorite shirts. You can't see this. It's very dark. But what happened is I'm an ex-CIA agent, and I'm supposed to be. I'm like personal bodyguard to somebody important, and I've gotten back to my office, and here I am in my office. It was bombed, and she's disappeared, and nowhere to be found. And let's just talk about this one.
Well, you have to talk about this one too.
Well, this one first.
The title's hilarious.
I know, but this one first because it's called Overheated. Think of it, it's a race NASCAR series, so it's race car
and this
driving.
is through Harlequin Romance.
Harlequin Romance series, and so Overheated. I'm one of the
Who's
top.
overheated, you or her?
I think it's her.
Okay.
When she sees me, she gets overheated. And it's just, a play on words, how a car overheats.
Yeah.
And here she is now. She is the daughter of somebody important in the NASCAR racing system. I'm one of the top drivers. I'm like, now, just so you know, this is colorized because my hair was gray because I always had gray hair. It seems like it. So that's colorized. She was not as endowed as in the picture, so it's a little bit touched up. She was a lovely girl, very gorgeous, very pretty, very sweet. But she's the daughter of somebody. So I'm like supposed to be like 40 in the book, and she's like 18 or something, or 20. I think she's like, yeah, it's just, let's just read a little bit about it because it's hysterical. Things Crystal Hayes could do without her looks. Men obsessed with her looks, and guys who think they're God's gift to ladies. She'd rather be behind the wheel of a truck than navigating cheesy pickup lines. But when Crystal makes a delivery to a NASCAR event, she meets the one guy who could blow all her preconceptions away.
And is that you?
And at the top of that list is Crystal, breathtaking, sweet. 22 years younger.
Oh.
The age difference is creating animosity with their families, and suddenly their romance is the talk of the entire NASCAR circuit. Because I'm Larry Grasso has lived a shadow of his well-known racing family, blah, 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 blah.
And then the last one, this is my favorite title, Wyoming Manhunt.
Little do they know. It's an ongoing joke with one of my counterparts who we talk about often, and I won't mention his name, but he would laugh because he put together a calendar of his dozen Harlequin romance novels. The guy is gay as... I don't know what expression that would be appropriate to say these days. But, he's not really into women, but every book, you're the guy in the book.
Yes.
So when they're looking for somebody to be this person, you're the guy. So they'll describe you, and you're him. You're the guy in the book. So, mostly ladies are reading these books. It's they cater to women. So Wyoming Manhunt is hysterical. I don't even remember what this one's about because I couldn't get past the title.
So anyway, that's my Kevin Davis story and my Jamie Goodman story.
Okay, folks. Bound by trust or overheated? The choice is yours. I'll get you, Kevin. Is that his name?
Yes. So anyway,
I'm gonna mess you up.
I'm looking forward to knitting that scarf as well. It should be great.
Oh, is that what we're talking about?
And transforming into Kevin Davis.
Oh yes, let's recap. Kevin, the model, the ex-Air Force pilot, was wearing the scarf design.
Yes.
From Papa Bear.
That's right.
Jay.
Are you ready to talk about a finished object?
Finished objects.
Yes.
I don't have a finished object.
Well, I do.
I know you do, and it's absolutely stunning. Don't you think? I'm surprised you didn't try it on.
I did try it on. I have a picture.
Oh, there it is. We can see it here. Why are you putting it away? Are we
No.
about it?
Yeah, we're going to talk about it. No, I was
Okay.
just feeling it. It feels so nice.
Can I feel it?
Yeah, you can feel it.
Anyone can feel it.
That reminds me of a card that you gave my mother.
Oh my
when
gosh.
you first met my mom. Birthday card.
Okay. I gave your mother a birthday card.
And you just met her, basically.
Yeah, and I thought, hey, we're all adults, and it was funny. I thought it was really funny, but then I don't think your sister and the children
My mother thought it was hilarious.
Oh my gosh, your mother cracked up. She was having trouble catching her breath, and I thought, oh my gosh. It was hysterical. So, what did the card say?
The card said, after one drink.
Okay. Well, you have to set up.
Okay, you say it.
Yeah,
you say it.
Okay, so picture it. A card with like a 1940s pinup, 1950s pinup gal in a sweater and a cocktail. And she says, how did it go again? If I have one cocktail, I could really feel it. If I have two cocktails...
Anybody can feel it.
And I was like, how many years ago? And we still bring that up and we laugh. And I remember your sister Jennifer was mortified. And, your little niece and nephew. And I don't know if your kids were there at the time because it was during, celebration. They probably were, but the children were younger then. So I don't think they got it. But Jennifer being Jennifer is just like, after one, anyone. After two cocktails,
we're talking about the sweater.
Feel it. That's why.
So the sweater is called Jon, Jon, and it is from Hulda Hakanargoff.
Oh.
And you can find that on Ravelry, and I'll put a link to that as well. But it was a fun knit. I love knitting the sweater. It was great, and it was. I'm not converted to be a bottom. I'm still a top down.
We talked about this,
but I did. I mean, there were some things I definitely learned from it, and I love the feedback that a lot of the viewers gave me on the benefits of being a bottom up rather than top down. I still like my top down, but I would do another bottom up for sure.
Well, you had mentioned how, because, my whip from the last time when I showed it, I put it over my head, because you could put it over your head and kind of gauge.
Yeah.
Because you could follow the pattern, but still you might have to fandangle it a bit, which is what we talked about in prior episodes myself. And you want to sort of go, oh, you know what, I'm going to do another row. Or, especially with the sleeve then, when you attach the sleeves, you could still kind of try it on as you go and say, you know what, because, my torso is a little longer than your torso, or maybe the average person. That's why I try to not sit so tall. As you go, but from the bottom, how do you gauge where that waist is sitting? So you found that, and it's just different. But this looks crazy complicated to me. Like
it's not complicated.
If you look at it,
this is not complicated.
And in a photo, if you stare at it, it has the images. These almost look like cubes. Some of them look like a shadow of a shadow with the slight differential grays. It looks like that cube look. Not so much, I think, when I look at it like this, but in photos, it photographs like it's shades of cubes, even though it's triangles.
And I used Icelandic wool for it, for most of it. Some of it was Lincoln log wool as well, just a little bit of it. And it's not dyed. None of it is dyed.
Yeah,
so it's
all natural.
It's all natural colors.
Which is beautiful. There's something we said about just all natural wool and we talked about so many sheep in the past, and one of the sheeps we
And there's
talked about
Gotland in here as well. Sorry.
Gotland that I love,
Yeah.
and one of the sheeps in the past, which we said had so many variations of colors. I think it was
Shetland has,
and I think it was the Icelandic.
Yeah.
As well, has a lot of varying degrees of shades.
Yeah.
So
it's so great to. It feels wonderful on. I love this sweater. I'm really happy with it.
It looks really good.
So highly recommend it. 2 thumbs up on this one for sure. I love it, and I'll put a link to the pattern as well.
Yeah, and you said it was an easy knit.
It was a knit.
You got the hang of what you're doing. It's just.
Well, it went fast. It was like 4 weeks.
You don't have to tell me that because he was finished his sweater and I'm still just up to here. But even as I was still knitting, you knit a whole sweater.
It was a fast knit. I loved it. It was great. I'll knit another one as well.
Yeah, you could do, and that would be amazing to do that, and it would look so different. This yoke would look so different in different. Imagine doing it in different naturally dyed colors. How different it would look.
And you can see that on Ravelry.
I love the idea of using, which is what I do with my other sweater I'm working on, is I love the idea of taking a pattern, and then I still love the idea of using a natural color for the mane, because I did the one in gray, and I'm now doing one in a very similar brown, but I'm going to use some of the naturally dyed colors. So use natural Katzenberger dyed colors here, and then a original natural sheep color.
Yep.
Undyed.
Yep.
Look amazing.
Sounds great. Okay, so anyway, what we've been talking about dyeing wool all episode, but we haven't shown any wool. So let's talk about this. And we have, honestly, we've been, as soon as we wake up, we're spinning, dyeing wool, and doing all kinds of stuff. Writing labels, all that stuff. So we want to show you some of the stuff we've been dyeing.
Oh my God.
So why don't you pull it out? Pull it out and show us, Jamie.
Okay, well, I took these samples out specifically because there's a reason behind it. We might bring that up in a photo you can see it close up.
Yeah.
Because this is just one selection of colors.
Yeah, and before we get into the selection of colors, why don't you talk about the base? Because we used a bunch of bases, right? We were using...
Yes, we did.
Merino, Polworth, Bluefaced Leicester.
Yes.
BFL.
With a lot of the newer ones that we've just been doing.
Yes.
Specifically for the festival.
Yes. Yep.
Just to build the stock, and we have a bunch of new colorways which weren't available before, which are going to be new to some of them we've done before or similar, but a lot of very new color variations.
Yep.
But we're going to talk about these in particular are the BFL.
Yeah.
We've talked about Polworth before. We did a whole thing on Polworth.
Right.
And so
I see where you're going with this. So the base of all of these is Bluefaced Leicester.
Exactly.
Yes.
So
sounds good.
I could tell you a little bit about Bluefaced Leicester.
Oh, Jamie, please tell us.
Okay. Where do I start?
Start with BFL, because when people see BFL on a label, some people don't know what it means.
And we've put Bluefaced Leicester on some of our labels, as in Nina Chicago. We put, because they're going to be in store, we're not there to say, or if there was a question, BFL, we put BFL, but we also put Bluefaced Leicester. So BFL, Bluefaced Leicester. So the Bluefaced Leicester originates in the UK. Now, it was developed over about a 200-year period. But let's go back to the UK. Let's just say that even in prehistoric times, we know that a human population at the time, prehistoric population, they dressed and they wore wool as clothing to keep warm based on wild sheep. In the European countries...
Can you imagine how all the land went in that wool?
Well, have you not seen 6 million BC with Raquel Welch, and she's got her fur bikini on and running along the beach? That was probably sheep.
Probably.
Truth be told, first movie my mother ever took me to.
And how old were you in that?
I'm not going to tell you. I was but a baby. Don't you Google the year that came out. The original one, because another one came out in the 2000s, I think. I'm talking the original one. Anyway, I had nightmares forever.
And did that scare...
The pterodactyl, I'm sure. And I was in the bikini running on the beach.
You're terrified of women ever since.
The pterodactyl coming down. I mean, it was terrifying. The pterodactyl and the friggin' dinosaurs, which, of course, the movie, those two species apparently didn't live in the same time of the Jurassic times or what have you. But she ran on the beach in that bikini. She got away, but some of them did not get away because she's the star of the show. Of course, she didn't get eaten in the first 2 minutes.
Well, if it was
everybody else did.
If it was a wool bikini, it might weigh her down.
No, that pterodactyl, we know that wool is so tough and strong. The dinosaur probably couldn't bite through it. I'm sure that's what saved her. Oh my gosh, where was I?
You were on Bluefaced Leicester.
Prehistoric times,
Yes.
Okay, so domesticated sheep were introduced to the UK and Europe in a whole as far back as 6000 BC. And in the UK in particular, because that's where we're going to talk about the BFL, in and around 4000 BC, thousands of years ago. Now, even as time progressed, by about 2000 years after that, the sheep were then the wool and fiber. There's evidence of it being spun that long ago. So now you're talking about, the Bronze Age, and even leading into Middle Ages, towards the end of the Middle Ages and the beginning of the Renaissance. So between, let's say, around the 1100s, it was the largest part of the economy of England was based on wool, exporting the fleece and so forth and so on. So now bring it even forward more, the 1500s now, they were one of the largest manufacturers of cloth, and again, the economy, cloth, and they had the largest number of sheep farmers in the world at the time. Mm-hmm. One of the largest populations of sheep farmers and sheep and industry was wool. So now, getting to about the 1760s, this fellow named Robert Bakewell, he developed, I know funny because it's Bakewell, I bake well, so they say, I guess. Where was I? Robert Bakewell. 1760s develops the selective breeding, which we've talked about selective breeding over and over again when we're talking about sheep, because what they do is you want the best of the best. You take the best components of one sheep and the other, you interbreed them, you mix them together to get the best sheep ever. So a lot of these sheep, during those thousands of years that I'm talking about, between 4000 BC forward, a lot of sheep were introduced at the time. And, the UK was taken over by, there were Roman invasions, and the Danes inhabited the area in a period of time. They would have brought along with them, for example, sheep like horned black-faced sheep, mm-hmm. and hornless white-faced sheep, and everything else in between. So by 1760, this fellow decided, okay, he wanted to improve the stock by selective breeding. He pretty much introduced it. And so this new and improved breed of sheep, he wanted to use the long wools. So the long wools to develop a nice, long, hardy, good wool, and like the Lincoln long wool. So all of these sheep that came after that go back to this period of time, including the Bluefaced Leicester. So they were called the improved Leicester. Sure. So they were called the new Leicester, the improved Leicester. So even today, Leicester long wool, and there are different Leicester long wools, sure. with different names to this day. Yeah. Bluefaced Leicester, over a period of 200 years, so this was 1760s. Now, the Bluefaced Leicester became, let's just say the name came in the early 1900s. So the Bluefaced Leicester is known for its beautiful fine wool, and the Bluefaced Leicester is because it's got white hair coming out of their skin tone on their heads is like a deep, dark blue. It's got a blue hue to them, and that's how you distinguish the Bluefaced Leicester. They also say that they have this, sort of Roman nose to them, so a Roman nose, and they're not a large sheep.
I've been told that I have a Roman nose. What do you think?
Somewhat of a Roman nose. Yeah. I would say so.
Maybe I'm related.
I have one that's probably up until it's a French-Canadian nose, whatever that means. So the Bluefaced Leicester, not a huge sheep, probably a medium size. Females, 200 pound to a male could be up to 240 pounds. And they don't produce that much wool in weight because it's so fine. They've got this thread-like, very tight curl to it. A nice luster, beautiful softness, 3 to 6 inch staples, and about a 24 to 28 micron. But in this instance, let's not count the microns so much, because we know that it's a very nice, fine, soft wool with a really nice luster. And it's also known to be great for spinning, but also excellent properties for dyeing, which we know because you love it, and you love it because of that in itself. Now, on the last note is, you know, even today, Bluefaced Leicester and sheep in the UK have the most number of varied breeds of sheep in the world in the UK, and over 40,000 sheep farmers in the UK. And the BFL,
my gosh.
Exactly.
We know some of them.
We do. And the BFL was introduced into Canada to the 1970s and the United States as well. And to this day, they still ship shipments of BFL semen into Canada in the US to just reintroduce fresh blood into the stock to keep it healthy and well and all of that to this day. And now we have examples of the BFL.
Yes.
And the reason for that, Christopher?
Well, I love dyeing with BFL. It's one of my favorites because it makes us look good. I think it makes us look good. Honestly, I think because the way it picks up the dye, it makes it look. It's not a flat look. Like when you look at some natural dyeing, and depending on the base, it can look like pastel or flat, like. And because of the sheen in the BFL, it really makes the yarn look great.
Yeah, and it really takes to the color. Like you get very intense colors, it takes well, and you're always saying like, oh my gosh, and you're always very much like you're so excited when you see a new color. You go, oh my god, and then he usually runs over and says, look what I made. It's my favorite. It's my favorite. It's my new favorite. Every new color is this is the ongoing goes, oh my god, it's my favorite. Every new color becomes his favorite.
I'm really glad you brought these skeins out as an example because it was really exciting to dye with these because we used the same color base for all of these. It was just a matter of how we mixed them up and which ones we wanted to push forward to be the primary color. But it's when you see how different they look from one another, they all contain the same colors.
The same base colors.
The same base colors. And so I found that really exciting because when we wanted to push a blue at the forefront or a yellowish hue to it, you know, it really depends on how much of the yarn you're exposing to the color, in what order you're exposing the color, and whether or not you're overlaying other colors on top of it.
And what were the three bases? The
three bases were blue, red, and yellow.
So if you look at your color wheel, you could get a lot of different combinations. That's what we're trying to show.
Right? Yeah, absolutely. And then the other one, we removed one of the colors from the color wheel.
Yeah, the red.
The red.
But this still has like 3 or 4 shades of green using the blue and yellow, and even the overlapping, because the overlapping even have like a dark olivey green that almost looks a brownish. So it's incredible. You're right. These, let's eliminate this one, let's say, but keep it together because, I mean, it just shows a stark contrast. But imagine using the same 3 colors to create, and we've got others.
Yeah.
There's other colors. We just didn't bring them all out. These just want to show the contrast. So yeah, this one pulling so much towards a rust as the primary, like that's the more prominent color. But then in this has 5, 6 different colors in there. Blues and pinks and orange and green and red. This one's pulling more towards an overall green hue. But again, there's blue, there's red, there's green, there's yellow. All these shades. And of course this, we've done this one.
Yes, a lot of times. Yes. Yep. So, and this is one of the reasons why I love dyeing with the natural dyes. I find it so exciting because you can just, using the same ingredients, you can come up with such different
dozens
colorways.
of patterns, colors, how you want it. Yeah.
So, the countdown is on, and we are frantically getting ready for KNIT City.
Which these are a part of, and all of the other new colors that you came up with.
Yes. Yeah, but we also have one that's special for KNIT City.
That's right.
And that's so, right. Let's show that. You can hold one.
Can I? Oh, can I? Can I feel it? Remember, anyone can feel it.
After 2 drinks. Okay, so we thought to ourselves, why don't we're going to KNIT City. This is the first time we've been out talking to people in a festival as a vendor in 3 years, 2 years, a long time.
4 years.
And so we thought, okay, well, we have to go show up with a bang. And we decided to...
That's to everyone else to decide.
Well, if I feel that way, in my reality,
in
my reality,
it's going to be a bag. You're going to get a bag for your buck. We hope.
So anyway, we thought, okay, let's do one that's specific to this show. And so we thought, okay, let's marry the West Coast because Knit City originated in Vancouver. And so we wanted to have representation from the West. And so we chose SEQUOIA. And you're going to talk a little bit about that. And then we had red to symbolize Canada, so that's cochineal. And then we have in our backyard, we have the leaves of the oak tree, and we have sumac. So that gave us a great colors to work with, and we ended up with these.
Which they turned out beautifully because you could clearly see the different hues of like the browns, the like oak colored, and the dark brown, light brown, and then the varying shades of reds throughout.
Yeah. And
marrying the West Coast with the Central Ontario, and
and the base of it is. Do you remember what it is?
Oh yes, Polworth.
Polworth, and it is sock weight.
Okay.
Yep. So the SEQUOIA, that's something we don't normally dye with.
No,
because it's on the West Coast.
And I don't think you've dyed with it before.
No.
So this is all very brand new.
Yes.
And I want to do a little bit of history on the SEQUOIA, just because, well, if people don't know the SEQUOIA, I kind of had an idea, but I was fascinated by some of the facts.
Well, Jamie, why don't you share your breadth of knowledge of the SEQUOIA with all of us?
I don't know, it hurts. So no, it was great because you came up with the SEQUOIA, and then together we thought like, oh, that would be great. Let's just use tree bases. We didn't use birch bark in it, but we used oak. So oak galls and oak to create some of the color. But the SEQUOIA, some of you may or may not know the SEQUOIA. So there's one called the giant sequoia. Now these trees go back millions of years. I'm going to start off with the SEQUOIA being the giant sequoia, which we use the SEQUOIA, is found on the West Coast. And also, West Coast in Canada, BC, Vancouver Island, and then California, on the slopes of the Sierra Nevada. There they were naturally. But these trees go back, as I mentioned, they go back to like Jurassic period. We're back to dinosaurs.
Wow.
Jurassic period. So like 200 million years ago.
Before the bikini, the wool bikini?
Yeah, the dinosaurs and Raquel Welch, they weren't in the same time frame. That's all Hollywood talk.
Okay.
In real life, these trees during the Jurassic period, so yeah, dinosaurs and I guess no humans as we know it. And these trees, they found samples in, what do you call it? Not petrified, but what's the word I'm looking for?
It's not petrified wood?
No, not petrified. In like fossils, let's say.
Okay.
They found these trees dated back to 200 million years ago.
Wow.
And to this day, though, 3 specific species survived the last ice age. Because there have been several ice ages, but the last ice age, we talk about the ice age, they survived through all of this. And so the 3 specific species now are the giant sequoia, the coast redwood, both found now in, naturally both of them in California, in the West Coast. The redwood's more in BC.
Yeah.
So on the West Coast. And then the dawn redwood, which was found in, it continued to exist in southwest China. So let's just talk about when they were first discovered. So going back, there's some literature that points to 1833 that there was discovery of these giant sequoias in California. Okay, so they were discovered in 1833, Calaveras State Park, but it was more well documented in around the 1852 California Gold Rush, which a lot of people go on. So all of a sudden, this was very well documented. These groves of giant sequoias discovered, and it became so huge because you think at the time, like of discoveries, like the Gold Rush and the West Coast, and and all of that, and the Grand Canyon, and falls, and all of that. You had to see it to believe it in the time. Now, photography was developed during that time, before that, so there's documentation of it. But along with something so unbelievable, these gigantic trees, along came the tourist industry because they created inroads going into these parks, which became national state parks. Tourists came along, and of course with them loggers. So a lot of these trees were logged because they thought, oh my goodness, these giant trees, right? So this old growth sequoias, and some of them dated back, they could live up to 3,500 years. And so the first tree that they discovered, the fellow was a hunter. There's the story behind it, and they named it the Discovery Tree because it was a new discovery. The Discovery Tree, of course, it was felled. They chopped it down, and at the time, it took 5 men 22 days to cut through the tree as they dropped. So you can imagine. So these trees are like averaging 30 feet around in girth. 30 feet.
Well, didn't they cut one in Driver Road?
You could see these. That's part of the touristy thing. If you've seen it, you would have seen the tree, which they drive through it like a tunnel. That's how wide they are, 36, and they could grow up to 250 feet tall.
Oh my gosh!
So yeah, absolutely stunning. And they continued. What happened was they did log them up until even the early 1980s, but now they're all, especially the old growth, because the old growth is what they wanted. You always want the old growth forest, just like in Canada. There's still controversy over logging and old growth forests. And
I will say that the logs that were used to build our cabin are old growth wood. Back in the 1800s.
That's right, which is why you can get these quite wide logs.
And that's why they last forever.
They do last forever, and they grew in a different time, a very healthy environment, a primal environment where it's strong, healthy wood. And even today, when you think knotty pine is like cutesy, knotty pine is because in those days they didn't have these flaws in the knots that they do, because that's part of the growth today. Back then, it was this beautiful pure wood. So a lot of the old growth was felled, but what they discovered? It was a very brittle wood, because when they chop it down, the tree would fall and it would just shatter into pieces because it was very brittle wood.
Yeah.
And so it didn't really have that much economic value. Something they used it for narrow poles and that sort of thing. And they also, at the time, they would dig ditches for it to fall. They'd dig these big ditches and put leaves down or branches so that it would try to save the tree when it fell. It wouldn't shatter and fall apart. But funny, it continued, and now they are very well preserved, and it's illegal to cut down the sequoias. So you could now find them. There's like Sequoia National Park in the States, and throughout these states in these state parks in California, you could find them. And on the West Coast, I found it interesting that you could find them in the Cowichan Valley.
Oh wow!
Exactly.
I've been to the Cowichan Valley.
And the Cowichan Valley, we talk about the Cowichan sweater. So it's funny that this history goes back to the Cowichan Valley.
Yeah.
And they're found in places like Cathedral Grove and Avatar Grove and Big Lonely Doug, all on Vancouver Island in Canada. Wow. You can find. So the redwood is native to BC, British Columbia on the West Coast. But it was the early California settlers that made their way to Vancouver Island. They actually planted some of these trees. They brought with them seeds, and the giant sequoias that you find there now are about 175 years old. Also during that time, a lot of people in Europe, when it was discovered, it was like, oh wow, these giant trees, prehistoric trees, right? So it was fashionable to plant them in Europe. So in the UK specifically, in Scotland, at the botanical gardens in Scotland, you can still find these trees that are now.
That's crazy.
They're like, one of them is like 36 feet across in girth and 177 feet tall. They planted them on avenues and boulevards in France during the period as well, and in English gardens, wealthy English gardens, castles, lords of castles wanted them on there. So you could find some of these trees that are now close to 200 years old in the UK and France.
Wow.
And in Canada, you want to go to these tourist sites. Oh, and let me tell you, that discovery tree that they chopped down the tree, and there's photos where after they cut it down, the stump that was left, the tourists are dancing on the stump. It was like a giant dance floor.
Oh,
And
wow.
you're going to see that. You can see that in photos. And if you go to that state park today, Calaveras Park, that stump is still there.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I'll have to check that
And
out.
that's the sequoia. And we should also point out one final thing, though. These sequoias and where you get the dye product from is all environmentally controlled, and they grow them purposefully for this reason. And so these are not trees. They're not cutting down old growth forest of these trees.
Okay.
To
I'm glad you mentioned that.
dyes.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. So that is our tree history today.
We won't
We haven't
get
done that.
we won't get into the oak and the sumac.
No, but we have talked about both oak
We've
and
talked about
sumac and how to
sumac
dye
and
with them as well.
We've
I have
done
not done an episode on how to dye with sumac, and maybe we can do that one at some point as
What do you
well.
mean you have never done one with sumac?
I mean, with sequoia.
You haven't done with
I've
sumac.
done one with sumac, absolutely.
Yeah,
It's
and
not-
oak. You
and
can use oak, you
Yeah.
can use the bark, you can use the
Yes.
oak galls. The oak tree in Canada, they're still, I mean, we're in the Oak Hills,
Yeah.
so they're everywhere.
So we are frantically getting ready for Knit City. We have
Frantically, isn't
a
it?
few days, and then
My hair
it's
doesn't
showtime.
usually- My hair doesn't usually look like this these last couple
Have
of
you
weeks.
picked out your outfit yet?
Oh my gosh. We were talking to a friend, let's just say, who she is going to be at Knit City. First things first, she's planned out her outfits because, you know, if you're going to an arty fiber festival, you better get your fiber outfits in order. I don't have fiber outfits to wear. I have one sweater, which I'm debating whether I bring it or not. Probably. No, I haven't planned out outfits.
Well, so we've got a lot to do,
Well,
even
yeah.
aside of the outfit. Yes, of course. It's plaid.
You've got all kinds of sweaters to wear. No, you've got like 3 sweaters.
No, it's going to be
to
too
wear.
hot to wear a sweater inside. Anyway, we're really looking forward to it. And
Looking forward to it.
to vending. I'm excited.
I'm more than looking forward. Exactly. We're so excited. And
Yeah.
why would that be?
Because we're vending.
And we haven't seen people in
Yeah.
years.
And I also want to record as much as we can of it because I'd love to bring it back, our experience back to you.
Yes.
show you.
That's going to be, how are we going to do that? I guess
I don't know. We'll
I'll
figure
be-
it out. We'll figure it out.
we have to be at the booth and we have to, we want to do a tour of the festival.
Well, we have somebody who said that they're going to, we have a booth band.
We have
showing up.
someone helping
One of your
us
friends.
out. And so
A he.
at some point,
Yeah.
when it's, well, it's going to be busy, but we'll see how it goes. We definitely want to cover that festival
Yes.
and bring all of that to you because it's still somewhat controlled, you know, as far as crowds. So I think
Yeah, it'll be
I don't
500
know what to expect.
500 in the morning. It's capped off at 500 in the morning, 500 in the afternoon.
Okay.
That's for Saturday. And then Sunday, it's same thing, 500 in the morning and 500 in the afternoon. And then Saturday night, we have knit night. And that's also a controlled number as well.
So we're
So,
looking forward
yes,
to
we're looking
seeing
forward to it.
friends and knitting companions we haven't seen in
Yeah.
a very long time. It's going to be, I can't imagine because I haven't really thought about it till right now. Like really think about it, how it's going to be a little bit emotional and in a happy way. We'll be glad to see
There'll be
people.
tears.
Oh my gosh, I'm tearing up just thinking about it. Because people we haven't
Kleenex
seen in
box.
a long time. And we haven't been to places. Well,
Yes.
we've been to one little festival last year, but this is, you know, a festival that we're partaking in, and we're very, very
Yes.
honored to be a part of it.
Yep.
To be able to get in. And we've also been anticipating this particular Knit City because originally it was, the first year was going to be just pre-COVID, and then COVID hit. So there hasn't been a Knit City Montreal yet. It's now. It's happening.
It's the first
finally,
one.
2 years later.
Yeah.
So it makes it that much more exciting with anticipation.
I am going to have to cram my French lessons with the knitting French teacher. From now until then. Anyway, on that
I'm
note,
not helping you out. I'm going to be speaking to my friends in French and those who I could see prefer to speak English as their primary language, which mine is.
maybe
as well.
we'll ask Kevin if he's available to help us out.
Is he going to be our surprise babe booth person? He could model some of your sweaters, perhaps.
Anyway, so we're really looking forward to it. We're also looking forward to hearing if anyone can tell us this nest. I will do my research and figure it out as well. But we're interested in
And we also
figuring
hope we may see some of you there
yes.
as well. And if you recognize this one or the other guy, do say hello, because we would love to say hello live up front in person and close.
Yes.
Personal.
So thank you for joining this episode. We always love we always love sharing our stories with you, and we love hearing your stories as well. And thank you for
Always
all
do.
those people. thank you everyone for sharing comments with us as well.
As we always mention, it keeps us smiling in the morning and throughout the day. When something comes up midday, you go, oh my gosh, you got to hear this.
Yes.
You got to hear this comment. And it really lifts our spirits through these times. And that's why it's going to be extra special, because if we even come across, you know, a couple of people we've probably read some of their comments, it's strange because this has been our communication for so long.
Absolutely.
So thank you, and we hope to see you at KNIT City and anywhere else soon.
And have a great week, everyone. And I'll get the Kleenexes free.
À bientôt, mes amis. En français, KNIT City, Montréal.
Bye-bye.